Hey everyone, this is the Kubeflow SDK and ML Experience call on 11th of February. We're going to record this call, we're going to publish on YouTube, and as always, we follow CNCF Code of Conduct. So before we get started, again, like we give space for folks to introduce yourself to the community. Any new people who are here on the call who just want to say hi and introduce yourself, um, feel free to use chat or, like if you just want to say hi, otherwise we will get started. All right. So in that case, I guess like let's maybe quickly talk about Kale first, and then we can jump to this, survey and other discussions. So there, do you want to go ahead and talk about Kale?
Yes, I just need one minute. Like I'm catching the
Oh yeah, no worries.
last link here. Yeah. Good morning, everyone. We have two new community contributors that appear to help us super good. We have 15 or around 15 pull requests merged. That's getting shape. Also, I created a bunch of issues that we are tackling. This is where we're tracking the whole 2K or 2.0. So we are, I think, almost. There is still a bunch of those open with pull requests merged, but we're almost there. There's 5 more open. And the next thing that I ask feedback for everyone are the issues that are incubating on this list, that we have a bunch of issues for discussing in the community for things that are post 2.0. And also for those that are interested in contributing to KO in the future, we propose this project for GSOC. There is still a lot of process to see how this is going to get funding from Google and how we're going to prioritize it in Kubeflow community. But either way, we are going to implement this project in the community because this is part of our future. Yeah, and that's it. It's a short thing, but we are having a lot of progress in the community. Thank you so much.
Yeah, this is great. Like, any thoughts, like any plan on the release before KubeCon?
Yes, we are trying to do this before the kickoff. So could come. It's 2 weeks from now, right?
Mhm. Actually, no, it's March 24th, right?
Yeah, we are
Uh,
gonna have this. So
yeah, I think it would be nice to release it
yep.
before, like the conference. And any plans to include this in notebooks? I know you had some discussions, right, with
Yes,
notebook workers.
we are ready to do a release. But yeah, but we're going to add as default as we have the SDK. The SDK is there already, right? Or not yet?
I don't think it's there in the images, right?
Yeah, I don't think so. We should do together, I'd say. Let's put them on my future.
Yeah, like my hope I know you had some discussion with Andy and Matthew on this, and I guess they
Mm-hmm.
have some thoughts on the integrations with Kale and and SDK. Again, like my perspective, they should be probably included by default, or we can build another image, which includes this, capabilities.
Yep.
But we need to have a release, right, for Kale, so
Yeah.
we can start
Mm-hmm.
using it.
I think I can put this on my to-do list after the release. I think we can. There's two options, right? If they allow us to add that as a default, it's fine. Otherwise, we create and maintain in the machine learning experience working group our own image,
Yep,
as you mentioned.
that makes sense.
This
Anything else?
is
Yeah.
yeah. My only question for on this case, and that's the case. Are we testing with a default installation the manifest if everything is working for SDK already?
No, because we don't have really E2Es on the manifest side, and I don't really expect a lot of problems there. I mean, so the question what we want to test, right? Like we can, because I know that we plan to have some E2Es in the Qflow SDK repo, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I know Julius also has some testing on the manifest side, more kind of like high level testing. I mean, if Julius is willing to contribute, we can also add some tests to the manifest as well. I don't see any
No,
issues.
no,
Yeah.
let me
Yeah.
rephrase. What I mean is that if I install Kubeflow via the manifest, right?
Okay.
And
Oh,
imagine
yes.
that we have the image. If I run the
Mhm.
image to SDK, I'm able to have all the functionality working.
Oh yeah. Actually, I mean, I think so, right? I mean, as long as all the components are installed, you should be able to use SDK because I think the RBAC. So we should
They are
distinguish
back.
clients. Yeah. So we should distinguish clients who require, access via API server and via like service account in the Kubernetes API server,
Yeah.
right? Like for Spark, Katib trainer, it should work out of the box. For model registry, we need to figure out how the access works there, because this is, I'm not sure, maybe we should speak to John. And for pipelines, we haven't yet integrated with pipelines, but as long as the notebooks can access, like all those components, it should work, right? And we already have roles which we attach by default, right?
Mm-hmm.
The roles to, I'm talking about like in the roles which require for notebooks to access, those CRDs. So it is already
Mm-hmm.
there. Yeah.
What's the other one that you know that works? Ikati, Spark?
Yeah, yeah. So Spark clients, optimizer client, trainer client. It's like this is via like CRDs. The notification go like via the service account,
Mm-hmm.
basically Kubernetes
Yep.
service account.
Mm-hmm. So it
And for
should work,
model
right?
registry, yeah, yeah, yeah. So for model registry, I'm not sure. I think we should speak to Matteo,
Yep.
John, around it. Um,
Yeah, I put this on my radar because I need this for KO as well. That's why I'm asking if you guys sort out pipelines. Because
oh
if
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm just curious because KO depends on that. That's the case. And one thing that
Yeah.
I'm going to do in after 2.0 in KO is that instead of using the Kubeflow as the pipelines SDK, I'm going to use our SDK in KO in the
Yeah, I think
generated code.
yeah, that's right. So today you use KFP inside Kale, right?
Yeah.
To okay,
Yes.
makes
Hmm.
sense. Makes sense. Yeah, I think once we migrate this pipelines client, we should refactor this as well on the Kale side.
Hmm.
That,
Yep.
um, all right. So let me
Thank
share
you.
quickly my screen. So any other questions?
Uh, and regarding the release of Kale, you can take a look at the automated release process we have in Kubeflow SDK, and potentially you can reuse the workflows there. And if you have any questions or need help, feel free to reach out
Thank
to me.
you. And yeah, for sure reach out for you, especially because I talk with Andre that we need to pipe credentials and this sort of stuff. I will just copy what you guys did that. Thank you.
Yeah, sounds great.
Yeah, let me link this workflow. Yeah, we're also trying to incorporate this workflow in Trainer. I know we have a pending PR, but I think I mean, we should definitely reuse some of those functionality across different projects.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Especially the PyP release. I think we haven't
Yep.
done it for other repos. All right, so let's move on. So I think for the
Thank
blog
you.
post, yeah, for the blog post, I think this is important. So we need to publish the blog post for our survey that we started in back in I think in October before KubeCon NA. So I think right now we have like around 35 responses, right? What our timeline there? I know Akash, you also want to help, right, with this? Um, yeah,
Yeah,
go
yeah.
ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
I mean, more of like what idea I had was like whatever responses we have. So obviously we'll have few suggestions, feedbacks, and then some action item. So we can publish as a blog post. I think I gave few examples as well. I think Grafana and Prometheus, they do publish their surveys. So something similar sort, we can publish the result of the survey as a for this one SDK as well. So that was one of my suggestions for this.
Yeah. Also, like, please review this survey 2023. I think this
Yeah.
is, I think Anna was working this and other folks. Um, it has some, key takeaways, etc. We can, think about it.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, I think
so, yeah,
I
you
added
go
the
ahead.
I have added a few examples in the issue. So probably that maybe I'll share that.
Do we have a tracking issue for this?
Yeah, we do have right on the SDK. I think at top it will be the zero experience. Can you go to that?
Oh, yeah, yeah, this one, right?
Yeah, the last comments.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
makes sense.
these are the few examples from CNCF, from Grafana, and from other. So
Yeah, I
again, I
think that.
mean,
Mhm.
yeah, my perspective is like let's say we have few data points regarding like feedback and survey. It is up to us like as a community how we want to show that as to other people. We can have a generic result of that. Okay, these are the few suggestions, these are the few feedback, or we derive some insight to it and then publish as a blog. I'm more inclined towards the second part where actually based on feedback that we say to community that we are doing something or these are the few feedback we got and we are working on that. So that's my inclination toward that.
Makes sense. Yes, I'll go ahead.
Hey guys, hey Andre. So how do you make the survey actionable? we need what are the actions we're going to take based on the survey, given we have some insights. Are we communicating this to the right teams or like during the community so people like or respective projects can take actions if there
Yeah,
is
I think
some
so. I think that
improvements?
yeah.
Yeah, go
So
ahead.
the outcome is, yeah, I think it's important for us to kind of like, identify the, maybe we should construct the priorities based on the what people say to us, which means like
Yeah.
in the blog post, we should say like what are the, pain points for folks to use those tools and how we can, empower, help them to address those challenges, right? Um, and as far as I was looking at, like, the majority of folks using KFP compared to other projects. So this is the reality right now. But understanding what are the challenges today, I think it's important, right? Um,
Yeah, I agree. I was just like, we need to like dedicate some time. Somebody needs to look at the survey or group of people, and maybe we can have a quick discussion at some point, maybe in the community meeting or in this meeting, and decide, okay, maybe this project need to implement this mechanism, or we need to do this, need to do that to mitigate the issues that blocked users from using the SDK or adopting Keyflow in general. Then we convert it from, okay, here is the results of the survey to here is the results of the survey and here is an action plan on how we're going to mitigate the issues that resulted out of the survey. Um,
okay.
but it's up to people to decide. Thank you.
So who can help Akash with blog post and drafting something in Google Doc? Um,
I think I can help with
oh,
that regarding
okay.
the draft
You,
for that.
you can invite me if you want. I might be able to contribute a little bit.
Sure, 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 sure.
Thank you.
And regarding the first point, I think that's what Tia and I want to convey, that like whatever feedback we got from the survey, it's not like we are going to do the same thing. We'll try to link. We do have our roadmap for 2026 and 2027. Let's say if some of the items overlap, we can clearly say in the blog, hey, like you asked for this. We are out
Yeah,
of these things, out of these five things, three things we are already doing in our roadmap. So something which already overlaps is something that we want to point out to our community that based on feedback, this is already we are planning to do or we have done. So obviously there will be things that we are not doing or we would there will be some bandwidth needed to do it. But I'm telling you, like whatever things or whatever features or whatever feedback that already overlaps, I agree we should discuss that and then we should point out to the actual people. Okay, these are the things we are already going to do. So that, I think that would be the major advantage of having the blog post.
yeah, makes sense. I think addressing the challenges in the blog post is important. I
Yeah,
think also like socializing, like why people are struggling, right, to run those workloads today.
yeah,
Why it is hard. What are like I think we've been asking about, what are the most time consuming, right,
yeah.
areas while running those workloads in production. So that makes sense.
Really quickly on this, I'm not planning to take much time, but if we have, I don't know if we have a power user or super user group, but probably we don't have it at the moment. But maybe if there are main issues that we can mitigate by workarounds or some hacks or some way to get things done, within Keyflow at the moment, that in the future maybe we can make it easier. So that could be a following or a follow-up blog post where we show where we show people like, okay, if you're facing this issue, here's a way you can get around this issue and so on. So maybe we can identify that as well, Akash, if it makes sense, and have a follow-up post that fixes or mitigates this issue first time being till we fix it, maybe in our roadmap or later releases. Thank
Yep, yep. I think that would be good. I mean, I agree with that. Even like, I think we should spend some good amount of time over like how we are going to present our blog. I mean, we do have data point, we do have problem, we do have suggestion, but how we are going to display it, that thing. We should spend good amount of time. How do we want to visualize to users? So I agree with Sai.
Yep.
We'll discuss more about it, how we're going to display.
Yeah, that makes sense. So let's try to collaborate on Google Doc. And so I
Yeah.
guess like, Akash, we need to share like with you the results. So Sat, if you can share with Akash the survey results so he can take a look as well. That will be helpful. All right. Um, yep. And I guess like let's try to again emphasize why we try to build this experience for users, right? And like how it can help them, to especially run those workloads on Kubernetes and what is not possible today, etc. So I think it's definitely an important part. All right, so moving ahead. So quickly on the GPU ETE test, do you want to quickly talk about it, Akash?
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, in the next week, I'll talk about we have a E2A test for trainer that we recently added last week. So again, one of the at least in discussion at least with Andrew, we are planning to do it for SDK as well as well as other project in Kubeflow. So maybe just want to tell here, at least in this forum, that we already have this option available to one of our repo, one trainer. There are a lot of scope. Like we do have GPU infra now from CNCF as well as from our tenancy. There are a good amount of things that we can do now. Which we can test without depending on external infra. From CNCF itself, we have that infra available. So yeah, I just
Yep.
want to point.
Yeah, definitely. I think we should definitely do this. And I know right now we run the same notebooks and like what we do right now in SDK, we run exactly the same notebooks we run in Trainer, but in SDK. So we verify that our changes in SDK, we don't break them. So we should like what we need to do. First of all, I guess like we also discussed with you, we want to kind of consolidate some actions, right? Like the creation of cluster, right, in a single script, so to make it easier for us to maintain. Um, and then like we just need to run some of those GPU tests on SDK similar to what we do for other E2Es, right?
Right,
Um,
right, right.
mhm. Yeah, I agree with you. I think like we should definitely because right now we only run the CPU notebooks here um,
No,
in SDK.
no. Even for SDK, I think code-wise there won't be much changes, but something that will be like
Yep.
example will be different or something we want to verify. So I think we can consolidate some of the common code or common workflows into a single place.
Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense. All right, let's move on. So for the SDK website, I think we haven't talked about this like last 2 weeks ago. So I do you want to quickly talk about the website that you created for SDK?
Yeah, so I just wanted to mention that we finally created and developed the Kubeflow SDK website, and it is available under sdk.kubeflow.org. Here you can find all the information how you can get started, the installation, quick start, and then the information about different clients. Currently we have Trainer, Optimizer, and Model Registry. Soon we will have Spark Operator. Also, there's the examples folder. There I expect we will have more end-to-end examples there dedicated for each of the client, and then the integration between the clients. So you can go easily go there and have a quickly look and take a Jupyter notebook and just get started really quickly. Also on the website there's the APIs reference for each of the client. So it's the automated process for each of the APIs. We provide the docs, as well as in GitHub we have the CI that well, actually that's a workflow that creates like a testing website page for your PR, so you can make changes to the docs, and you can find the example of how the website would look like with the recent changes. Yep, over here. And yeah, that's just the start of the website, and we have a lot of issues created. I think there are quite a lot of PRs been opened recently to improve the docs. So yeah, if you find any typos or anything that you would love to add, feel free to do so. I just open the PR and then we will review those. Yep.
Yeah, I think this is great. Thanks a lot for this work. I guess like for the examples, shall we just maybe so first of all, I guess like examples should be located under docs, right? So they can be rendered in the website. Um,
Yeah.
I'm wondering if we can at least set the README that the people can see, like folks can see examples for trainer for now, right? Um, maybe this page should be moved, yeah.
The README to where?
Like, so right now, when folks see examples here, right? What we say in the README, right now, we kind of like tell that we only have trainer examples, and like we kind of redirect them to this page here. Um, I was thinking about maybe we should add this statement to the SDK, to actually Kubeflow SDK docs.
To the website directly.
Yeah, to the website, right?
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
And how do we render examples here? So it's in the source. Oh yeah, examples.rst, right? This one. Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, maybe instead of this, we should just copy paste the README, right? So they can directly go to the trainer website, right? What do you think? Um, so not trainer website, the trainer
Right
repo.
now, before we have any examples yet.
Yeah. Because I'm trying to understand like how, like where are we going to have examples, right?
Yeah, so we'll need to think carefully on how we should structure it, so that
Mhm.
we don't have the random examples that are not consistent. Um, yeah, I think I've discussed that with Sad had a really good idea. So, Akarsa, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, like yeah, I don't know. Akash, your hand were up before me, so hope you excuse me for this one.
No, yeah, please, please.
So like we were just hoping maybe like add examples as part like fully tested and battle tested examples could be part of the SDK, like as a quick runs. If you want to prototype, if you want to do this, if you want to do that, similar to like some libraries like what's it called? There's some machine learning libraries and some other libraries that they do actually have ship the examples as part of the repo, so you can quickly run some of them if you want to. That's number one. The other thing we could do potentially with examples, if we have a well-structured example that go into the SDK, maybe we can that goes into the website. Maybe we can have a dedicated folder for them or a dedicated like tiles with examples. So when you click on it, it takes you as a sort of guided example, explain to you step by step on how to do this, how to do that. It depends on how far we want to go when it comes to showcasing the example. Should we just like put a notebook and people feel free to do whatever they want? Should we put a notebook and some images explaining how this would work, or what do we hope to get out of examples?
Yeah, I mean, I guess the most important thing, like, make sure these examples are functional, right? And yes, like we can add the code snippets in the, in the website. I know, for example, Google ADK, so the app, Agent Development Kit, they're doing this in their project. They kind of have this, and they also execute this code snippets, so make sure they're functional. Um, but at the same time, I see the value of notebooks when people just, like can, git clone and execute it locally, right? um, as well, because notebooks are actually human readable. I mean, we like notebooks and data scientists like notebooks because they're human readable, right? And they can also add all the information on what's happening during the execution, right? That is why, the notebooks are great for, especially for, for those ML development experience. Because we can actually explain what's happening in this cell and next cell, etc. We can also add some visualization diagrams, right? But the code snippets also might be useful. So I don't know, like I can go first. I can talk after
Yeah.
you.
I mean, I agree with Shad and Anya. Like, uh, there is an example folder in the repo that should have all example as right now how we are having for trainer. For website, I think I agree with Shad. We should have only the battle tested, like the very best example we have only at least for now one or two, and with the again snippet, a little bit of explanation and what it is doing and how you can extend. So, and what you're saying, like, we should not move our entire example folder to the website. Let's add, or we can have another example folder in the website where we add only one or two example and a common format to give only very best of best example there. And we'll keep maintaining our example folder, which will have a number of examples. So I think that will be easier because let's say someone goes to dogs, 90% they will be a beginner. So let's focus on getting the best example there. And if they want to try something else or experiment with something else, we give them example, hey, you can check out this particular folder and check out those example. So that's my opinion regarding the examples.
Yeah, go ahead, Anya.
Yeah, I think it's important to discuss and then agree on the format of the examples we would use, whether that's about like functionality of the clients or more focused on the use case. For example, like Gen AI, whatever fine tuning Llama model, and then we could use several clients there. Or do we want to be focused more on the specific like clients, for example, using trainer, like have dedicated subfolders for each of the client, and then maybe one subfolder for combining those clients.
Yeah,
I would
yeah,
lean towards having maybe the examples for um, the use case. Uh,
yeah.
but
Yeah, I think I agree. So I think we've done this before in Trainer. So previously, like in, a couple of years ago, we didn't have, the action specific examples. We just say, PyTorch, I don't know, like DDP, FSDP, which sometimes scientists don't really understand. Not all of them really, familiar with all those, complex terminology. And we try to make it, like maybe action specific. Like right now, we do have audio classification, image classification, question answering, etc. So making them, I think, making a list of some sort of, what you can do with SDK, right? And maybe I think right now we probably need as a first step just maybe copy paste this information to the website, right? So like for example, like if you want to see like how we can do audio classification at large scale with Kubeflow SDK, you can always redirect to this notebook and see the example, right? And eventually we can add more like some sort of fine tuning as well notebooks. I think we already have some of them, right? Like for example, if you go to DeepSpeed, this is the example for text summarization for T5 fine tuning, right? Um, yeah, so let's start with something and iterate. Again, like I think for now, linking notebooks may be a good first step. So folks can, from SDK see the actual, examples when they can, address some problems, and then we can iterate on this. Yeah, go ahead, Zed. So,
Yeah, like so, I see this as a kind of like roadmap to do things, to do a lot of things. First, let's surface examples in the website. That would be a very good first step to show people like, okay, here are some examples. But I'd like also to move examples from the component or make examples in the component repo, point to the SDK, and then if all examples are in the SDK where you actually should be triggering them, we can make all tests for different components happen from the SDK. So even if you're testing the individual components, it's kind of linked to the SDK somehow. And maybe there could be a dedicated package for examples where people can just like filter based on infra or based on as for every certain example you can like just see audio speech recognition or image classification or whatever, and then just trigger this example directly from the SDK if everything is in the SDK. So we take it step by step, and if it makes sense, we move one step at a time and seek feedback from users.
yeah. Um, yeah, I think on moving we should definitely talk because I mean I see value of both, like we can also have a sub module, for example, right? And having them in the one place.
Yeah.
Um, Yeah, I guess the question, what is the entry point, right, for our users to understand what we do here, right? Because well, like right now we try to use SDK. I guess like I mean previously we discussed we want to have like examples which has only one component in their dedicated component project, right? Whether it is Trainer, Katip, Spark, and then we're gonna have examples which can have multiple combinations in SDK. Yeah, but it might be also tricky because Spark right now won't. I know Shekhar like he wants to move examples to the SDK because Spark doesn't have any connection with Kubeflow SDK at all at the moment. But anyway, so Anya, go ahead.
yeah, I'm trying to remember what I was going to say, but yeah, so from the website standpoint, we could do similar to what we have in Trainer, like speech recognition, um, and so on, the like use cases, and then in the website we could have the text format of the, if that makes sense, of the examples, and then in the end or in the beginning we could point to the Jupyter notebook in the SDK repo. So we would kind of duplicate the information, but I think that's the most
Yeah,
important.
I suggest as a first short step, just let's copy paste this to the
Yeah.
SDK, right? And maybe add some PyTorch, DeepSpeed, MLX. What else we have? Like a torch tune examples, so we can enumerate them as a list, right?
Yeah.
And folks can, can just see this in the SDK website, right?
Yeah, and then we can elaborate and add like model
Yeah, yeah,
registries
yeah, yeah, yeah,
to the
that makes sense. I think
example.
it's a good first step for us, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
so do we
yeah.
want to migrate those examples to the SDK directly? Because we use those in the end-to-end tests, right? Um, and we
Yeah.
need to agree because the Spark operator, they already created in the PR examples for the Spark. Similar we can do for Ktype and model registry. However, we don't
Yeah.
want to have dedicated examples for, or do we want to have dedicated examples for each of the clients? That's
Yeah,
something we
again,
can discuss.
let's have a follow-up discussion on this. I don't think it's kind of like right now it's urgent because I know we need to do some changes in the, in infra sites, how we guide our users, right? But at least, if they go to this page, if they use, deep speed and they see exactly deep speed, how you can, fine-tune model with deep speed using Kubeflow SDK, they always have this redirect from this page, right? So, and then we can think about, if users complain, we can make it easier and better, right? Um, yeah, Akash, go ahead.
Yeah, a very, very small suggestion. I mean, can we have the link of website on the repo, like on the sticker repo? We don't have anything on the, I think the right side on the GitHub, we can add the website or anything link there.
Yeah, you mean qflow.org?
No, no, no. On the SDK repo, GitHub repo. Can you open that?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. So here, right?
yeah, right side, top right, top right.
Oh, yeah, yeah, it's actually a good point. Yeah, so we need to add it in the docs
Yeah,
here, right?
one more thing, I
Uh,
think. Yeah,
yeah,
okay.
go ahead.
Can you scroll down for the? I think we do have one more website which is from auto generator. Can you scroll down last at the README?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, at the last.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, there is a deep wiki, I think, fourth point. Yeah, this is, I think, AI generated one from Devin. Do we
Yep.
need
Yeah, that's
one
good.
or we can remove this if not needed? Like, there is no point of having two different websites for same.
Yeah, let's update this documentation to include this my main website here, right?
Yeah, that's what I
Yeah.
was checking because I was trying to search the website. I saw from Slack, but on website I couldn't find it. So thank you.
I, I
Yeah,
think, yeah, we need to
yeah.
update that to include the website for sure in the README, but then
Yeah.
we can always keep the week. I don't think that that's something we should remove because
Yeah.
it's a useful resource for folks.
Yeah, Anya, one question, like, is it auto updated that deep wiki website, or how is it updated?
I think it's auto.
Yeah, that's what I want to confirm. I was not sure because I think it is generated from AI from Devin something.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
the
yeah, it's like yeah, I think that Devin, I think that they sponsor it. So like I think they have their own, like automation script to, like to ask LLM to, create a summarization website.
oh
So
right.
yeah. Another thing
That
I think
would-
yeah, good, good.
Yeah, I mean, if it is auto generated, then I think we should have both the links. That would be better.
Yeah, that's right. So I think we also need to update the qflow.org. I think this is what we discussed last Tuesday. We need to add this as the outline here, as the another, like item
Yes,
in the
yes.
Kubeflow projects. And I think the goal was to have an overview page and then they just redirect similar what we do with KSurf right now.
Yeah,
Um, yeah,
hyperlink to the main
like
SDK website.
makes sense. Makes sense. Yeah, I think we need to do this.
Yeah.
All right. Any any other questions for this SDK website, or we can move on? All right. So I think quickly, so for the roadmap, so a couple of things we need to definitely update the README, so not README, this document for 2026 items. I think we have a lot of really interesting work streams happening, right? In the meantime, some of those actually been already resolved. Some of this is in progress this year. I think I kind of identify a few items, and feel free to chime in if you want to add more. So first of all, we're going to support more clients. So there is an, almost ready PR for Spark clients. Also, we have Hub clients for model registry. We also have going to have a pipelines client. So the pipelines client also will include the library of the pipelines components and actually of ready to go components and pipelines. So we need to kind of like have this from pipelines components repo, right? And I know I have a pending PR for this. Um, Also, I think we need to add the SDK, the MCP part. So there is actually for anyone who interested, we're planning to have this, as a GSOC project, and Abhishek will work on this as part of before GSOC actually to build the foundation for MC. But we try to build the MCP server for Kubeflow SDK. And the goal is to kind of like let agents streamline ML development for users. So, you can just basically ask your Claude or, or any other agent you interact with to fine-tune model or, optimize your model. And then we can provide a set of tools to agents to interact with, with Kubeflow APIs. So this is, I think, very interesting. I think we should definitely pursue. Um, Other point around open telemetry integration, I think this is also in progress, and we will probably have this in 2026. I think, yeah, ML flow integration. I don't know, like Anya was said, like, is it still in flight for us in
Yeah,
2026?
yeah, it is. In a few
Mm,
weeks, there will be something, yeah, like a proposal to Kubeflow. Keep posted. Um, yeah,
all right.
regarding, I think it's already in the roadmap for 2025. The experiment tracking. I think so. If not, we can update that, and can go through the existing SDK issues and update. Uh,
Yes, here.
yeah.
Experiment tracking with
Yeah.
method.
We can go through the existing GitHub issues and adjust our roadmap. And I think more items will be added after our survey summarization.
Do we want to wait? Can we create a pending PR, like
Yeah,
work in progress PR in that? Yeah.
yeah, I can do that. I didn't think we should wait. We just can proceed as we go.
Yeah, Akash, go ahead.
Yeah, so regarding that MCP, we have put it as GSOC project. The good thing is there are a lot of new contributors that approach us even in the community as well as in Slack DM that they want to work upon. I was talking to Abhijit, like we're planning to have a roadmap, like pre-GSOC roadmap, where we both will be working on, as well as any potential GSOC contributor can contribute to it. So that will be kind of act as like for their selection or one of the criteria for that, because right now we only have kept, and what I've seen other contributor who want to contribute, they develop their own way, their own MCP and just try to share it there. So what we are planning, we already have something. We'll have a proper roadmap where someone who want to work upon or want to extend that, they can take one of the item, just work upon that instead of like recreating the same thing that we already did. So for the first step, at least we'll review the cap once again, not just us, like all the committee member. Based on that, we'll have the roadmap. Then I think we'll proceed with that based on few attempts or like few main item before pre-GSOC. And then obviously whoever the contributor, they'll be extending it further.
Yes, yes. So, like, we need someone to, I mean, we need to review Abhishek cap first of
Yeah.
all, and I
Yeah.
think we need to start. Yeah, if we start, we need to build a foundation. Like, and I think in April, May, we need to start developing this. And
Mhm.
when GSOC start, I mean, as we discussed, like, they will, just add more tools or help Abhishek to, to develop this further, right? Um,
Right.
that makes sense.
Uh,
I think, yeah, good.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think, and we do have open telemetry integration as GSOC project, right? So, you and then Nishan were there. So, are you planning something similar for open telemetry as well?
We don't have what?
No, no, no. The issue for open telemetry integration, I think
We do
Danish.
have that in Kubeflow SDK. I can the GitHub issue.
No, no, I didn't mean the GitHub issue. I meant this particular issue is listed as GSOC project. Are you aware of that?
Yeah, we do have the GSOC project
Yeah,
for OpenTelemetry. Yeah.
yeah, so like, are we planning to give few roadmap or some pending items to potential contributor, like they can start working on this part of this particular issue or that part of integration?
I mean, if anyone's willing to open the proposal on the base on how we can, um, integrate OpenTelemetry with Kubeflow SDK integrated clients, that will be great and helpful for the users. So everyone is welcome. If not, I think the GSOC student, can also take it as an action item for, um, you know, um,
Mm.
figure
Right,
out.
right. Because just like 5 minutes before the meeting, I think one of the contributor commented like he want to pursue this as a GSOC project. So maybe like you can give a clear direction to that person or whoever next, that this is what we are planning and this is what we expect from the potential contributors.
Yeah, if you have some thoughts, feel free to open the proposal so that it will be really helpful for users. We've got 15 minutes left and we've got two big items in the agenda, so Sad, go ahead.
So for this one, okay. Just like one quick note on the MCP server, I believe it would be a nice place to live is in the SDK because it uses the SDK very in like in most of the work that's being done, and it could be a good place to make it live there. It's all Pythonic, it's very correlated, so and it could be like a separate package or a separate thing. But anyway, that's maybe discussion for another time. What I'm proposing here, we have a lot of SDKs we're grouping together under a single unified SDK. The user experience we're going to give is going to be like, okay, for pipelines, you have to authenticate this way. For trainer, you have to authenticate that way. For X, you have to authenticate in a completely different way, which is not a good user experience, which leaves the user puzzled and confused about what exactly needs to be done to authenticate with a specific client or a specific parts of the SDK. So there is a we were facing a similar problem where we created a library called Kubeflow. This library pretty much handles different authentication mechanisms like regular OAuth, kubeconfig, service accounts, OIDC. So it is ready directly to be used for production usage. We can also donate this library to Kubeflow if we think it needs to be donated to like the community in Kubeflow or any other community like that makes sense. We can use it in this ecosystem. It is available also on DeepWiki here, so you can take a look at the full comprehensive documentation. I use a strategy pattern to implement this library, which allows you to have a set of implemented authentication mechanisms and also allows you to add your own mechanism if it is not supported. So it's extensible. It covers all the authentication scenarios for different use cases. And the idea is to have a single expectation or a single like auth config object that you pass to the client, and the client will take care of authenticating and getting the token. And for OIDC, for example, it allows you to refresh the token and just keep the session going and so on. So a single and unified authentication for all the Kubeflow SDKs that makes people have a single or a very similar experience. That it's a very minimal requirements. You don't need even to use auth config if you don't have to. You can just get a Kubernetes client if you're using service account or you're using kubeconfig, it just works right away. If you need to pass some arguments, you would use auth config and it would just make you allow you to configure the authentications the way you like. If you need to go low level and you need the API configuration before you even get an API client, that's also applicable by this library because you can get a KS config and that will give you like API client configuration where you can adjust the SSL, you can adjust like whatever you want. If you didn't pass it originally to auth config, you could still do that. So it's very minimal. It doesn't depend on so many libraries, and we can just use it to handle different bits and pieces. So this is like the difference between old way of authenticating and new of authenticating. So no big chunks of authentication in the client's initialization. You just pass an auth config, and that would be standard across all our SDK clients, SDKs. So it will just like a single user experience to Kubeflow SDK.
Yeah, I see. So basically, instead of, be inconsistent across clients, we're gonna have this configuration that user can adjust, right? Um,
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah. So I think first of all, we need to distinguish, we do have 5 clients, right? Let's say like we do have Spark client, trainer
Yeah.
client, and
Yeah.
optimizer client. So these 3 clients right now are using the Kubernetes notification, right, to authorize. And we're also going to have model registry client, right? Let's call it hub client because, like, from my understanding, all the hub related things will be authenticated via the single, like, via consistent auth, right? Hub
Yeah.
client and the pipelines client. which using I guess the API server, right? Um, so they don't use Kubernetes auth, they're using uh, I guess the token-based authentication, right? How user can access the API server. Um, so I guess like your points are like we want to kind of provide a unified setting that user can adjust across all those clients so they can easily configure access, right? Um,
Yes.
mhm.
So pretty much, even like if there is a use case that I didn't think of while implementing this library is not there, it can be added because like again the strategy pattern it has an auto detect of the client authentication, so it looks for service account config. If not, then it will fail if you don't pass an auth client or an OIDC credentials. Then we could add also another author strategy because like if you look at the deep wiki, it explains to you like there is a possibility to extend this if needed.
Mhm.
So like it's a pretty much a strategy pattern which allows you to add your own authentication mechanism if that was not tested or I'm sorry, not implemented. Let me try
Yeah.
to get it in. But yeah, anyways.
Antonio, go ahead.
Yeah, just a quick point on top of what said you've said, and maybe you've said it already, but an additional benefit that I think is important to mention is that library that site created, it handles the the typical flows that you have to go through and for SDK to authenticate for IDC, like it redirects you to the logging page, for example, or it can serve a local endpoint that you can use to authenticate. So that kind of machinery that is useful to have when Kubernetes is configured with a IDC identity provider.
Yeah, makes sense. And I guess like it also allows customers to, like extend the auth client with their own methods, right? Because
Yeah,
we can imagine maybe they have their own way of authenticate users, right? To
Yeah,
access
there is a
customers.
link in the chat if you
yeah,
want
exactly. Yeah.
to open it
Yeah.
really quick in the chat here. Yeah.
All right. Um, authenticate, get description. Yeah, so I guess like it's kind of like layer on top. I guess like because Kubernetes provides the auth the Kubernetes Python client, right? We can authenticate users as well, but this kind of like building on top so we can unify different authentication models, right, across multiple clients.
Yes,
Um,
it's not only that, it makes it pretty much kind of enterprise ready if you want to say it like that, because like most enterprises would look for like, okay,
Mhm.
we have basic Kubernetes authentication, but nobody really uses basic Kubernetes authentication in real scenarios. They usually use like either OAuth or OIDC, like they
Yep.
have their own identity provider, and they would like to authenticate everything with that. So
Hmm.
it works with both. We've tested. I've tested it myself. So, but I created it, so I cannot say I tested it. I tested myself with in cluster using service accounts, kubeconfig, OIDC, regular auth, and it just works as expected every time, even if you
Yeah.
don't pass parameters.
So if we have this as an extension for, for SDK, right? Like, as a separate sub package, I would imagine, right? Which can be reused across all those clients, right?
Yeah.
How you would see a customer, users can extend it for their own customer, for their own purposes. Um,
Yeah, like it depends on how we implement it. The implementation details would allow people to pass an auth config, and they can pretty much add their own strategy as a separate package, register that with the auth config, and when they pass the auth config would have to just pick up like their own strategy and just use it. If there is an additional interface that might be required, I can quickly do that and we can make it ready if we want to. Also, for testing, could be nice if we have an authentication strategy that I'm not sure if that would work. Yeah, like something to. We could add, I don't want to burden the CI, but we could add a key cloak to test for stuff like OIDC or external stuff, but it's not
mm,
really what we're aiming to do here in this one. The good thing is
Yeah, yeah,
Antonin.
like I think my only question is about, okay, like if we integrate this in the Kubeflow SDK, right? Like, when enterprises want to do pip install and they want to make sure the Kubeflow SDK works well with their own in-house authentication model, like how we're planning to support this, like what kind of points of extensions we have here. Um,
First of all, it covers the main authentication mechanisms that are required: service account,
yeah.
kubeconfig, OAuth, and OIDC. That's
Okay.
the most popular ones. If you want to add your own strategy, that's also there's a possibility you can add your own strategy if it is not covered by the SDK. Um, Other than that,
Mhm.
I'm not aware of any other authentication mechanism that might be required or might be needed to be added. If it is
Okay.
and there is a need for it, I'm happy to implement this in the library. If also
Yeah.
make if we want to take control over it, I'm more than happy to propose it to be migrated to Keyflow community if we think that's a good thing to do.
Yeah, because like one of the examples I know users, for example, who like authenticate, to Kubernetes API, not via service account, but via like JWT. And I think this JWT just bypass directly to what is it like I think it's happening here.
Yeah, if you
Um,
open backend config, Kubernetes backend config, that
yeah,
would
yeah,
be
it's in the common types, right? Yeah,
yeah.
it's in the client configuration basically, right? Because it's provided client configuration which you can configure right in the Kubernetes client. Um,
Yes. So
okay.
if you look at auth config, there is something called get Kubernetes configuration that would return the configuration, so you can customize that. You see get auth client or get auth
Yeah.
config, it would be down there.
Okay.
So you could customize the client and still pass it if you need to.
Hmm.
It goes beyond that. It covers the flows. If you have OIDC, you don't have to add a layer on top
Hmm.
of that to cover like go authenticate with the external provider and get me an
Hmm.
initialized API
Okay.
client. It just does all that for you.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I think this is definitely something we needed. Like, again, like, so do we think that's because I think the only again like the differences between Spark, Optimizer, and Trainer and Hub, they're using different way to authenticate users. Like, do we imagine like first of all, let me ask you in terms of how we see the future of pipelines client be there. Like, do we know if pipelines, the idea is to still users interact with API server while submitting the pipelines to the cluster, or we need to speak with the pipelines working group to understand this better? Um,
Yeah, I would say we can either bring this to community meeting or go to individual
okay.
working groups and just try to quickly discuss it with them. If they have any additional, maybe we can ask them to take a look at it. And if they have additional requirements, I can take a look and try to assess if I need to implement it in the interface. So makes their life
Mhm.
easier.
That makes sense. And do we also see that, enterprises contribute their authentication methods to the upstream? Like if we talk about, other providers, which, might have their own auth specification.
Yeah,
Um,
Yeah, I don't mind, but I think it would be much easier if we have AuthKit under Kubeflow to get people to contribute it to Kubeflow, other than like keeping it where it is right now. So does it make sense to migrate the whole repository and just make it the upstream? It's also available on
Yeah,
PyPI.
I think it's up to discuss. We can make this as as a sub package, right? Because I think this is tightly coupled to the clients, right? Like I don't know if we need to have this separate library, right? Um, like
Yeah, in our
yeah.
case, we're using it for other SDKs too.
Oh,
Like,
okay. Yeah.
it could be like a common thing that solves issues for so many other people, not only us.
I see, I see, I see. Yeah,
But it doesn't matter. Like, if we want to keep it here
no,
under a sub
it's fine.
package,
Like,
it's fine.
I think even if we see the value for other projects, we can definitely talk about it. It's more, question about, like maintenance and who are going to, develop this under Qflow, GitHub repo, right? Because if you have other SDKs who also are using this, I think that makes sense to place it here and package, and publish as a separate package, right? You say, as a separate Python library, I would say.
Yes, the link is in the chat as well,
Okay, yeah.
for this separate package. What I would say is I think it's closely related to the SDK, so it will be part of what the SDK does. But
All right. I
uh,
mean, I think that yeah, yeah. So I know we're almost like over time, but I think it's fine. Like for me, like if I don't think I think it's a good thing to unify it, this via the single config, the all authentication, right, and provide give providers a way to adopt this, right, for different purposes. So I think this is something we should talk about. Um, so what should be the next steps? Like, do we want to create a proposal, or like how do we want to move forward?
yeah, I can create a proposal for that, and I will be also just a side note. I will be creating a couple of PRs, one proposal for this one, and another proposal for the specialized trainers. It's
Yeah, yeah, I
ready, so I'll
remember.
just push it. It's ready, like the proposal is ready, and I just need to create the PR. Should it be in the
Sounds
SDK or
good.
community?
You're talking about, I mean, for the Cube Auth, right?
Yeah,
Cube
cube
Auth.
auth.
I think, I mean, if we want to have the same separate repo, we need to have it under community.
Okay,
Yeah, so
yeah, we'll
uh,
do that.
let's do it under community so we can bring up to the other folks in the, from other working groups. Um,
Cool. Thank you.
Sounds good. So, anything else we want to quickly talk about? I know, like, I want to quickly say about the Spark client, right? So we almost completes the work stream for integrating Spark to Kubeflow SDK. Hopefully we will merge it this week. I think we also published so we merged the PR to publish the Python modules to PyP from Spark operator, and I'm planning to actually release it also today or tomorrow, the first RC, so we can start to do this integration. Talking about this one, the Python API models for Spark operator, so we can have a more robust way to generate Spark clients. So like actually to create the Spark Connect CRD, Spark application CRD. Yeah, I think this is in progress. Yeah, I think it was one question about data collection, like who actually added this? Uh,
That was me, but
okay.
we are running out of time, so maybe we should discuss that at the next commit at the call
Yep, I think that sounds good.
in 2 weeks. Yeah.
Yep, and yes, and I think so release 0.4, we should also talk about it because I think we need to do something before KubeCon, right? So let's also talk
Yeah.
about 0.4, which includes Spark and model registry, right? Clients. Yeah, I think that sounds good. All right. So any other last questions, comments? All right, sounds great. So let's definitely follow up with these action items. Like hopefully we can finalize like all of the things we need to do before next release. And let's focus on, like on the roadmap and also on the 0.4 release before we finalize before actually we have a KubeCon, so sometime in February or in March timeframe. And yes, I think it sounds good. All right. So thanks everyone for your time. See you soon. Again, like looking forward to all these action items and other things. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Thanks.